Welcome to Photo Finds. I'm your host Kevin, and this week we are at Epcot, where we are looking at the brand new test track. It has just been reopened. It's in full preview mode now, and if you're watching this on Thursday or later, it's fully open. No need for previews. Now, as you can see, they've changed the entrance completely. There's now a fast-pass and single rider entrance going together, standby entrance over to the side, and they've changed the look and feel of the whole thing. Even the color scheme is now different. Instead of yellow and white, now it's kind of blue. Light and dark shades of blue. You can see the stylized TT for test track, and that's sort of visible throughout the attraction, in fact. Now we're going to go in through the standby line, and I'm going to take you through the standby line for a tour. I didn't take any photos over here in the single rider and the fast pass line. They have a design experience there too, but it's meant to go very quickly, and they just get on the ride rather fast. And this way, they've made the standby line kind of very worthwhile, as you'll see. Now we start off with a concept car in the showroom at the first room, and then another concept car. Looks a little bit like a Segway, actually. It's an urban vehicle, another concept car from Chevy, and we're winding our way around it. As you can see, space in the back as well for more exhibits. It's kind of half museum in that first room. This is a quickie second room. You can see the passengers over on the side here winding their way around, and we're looking in the middle of the room at this white block onto which we see designs projected onto it. And in fact, the designs change every half second or so. This is very much the same projection technology you see at the Castle evening show, now applied to a single white block, just to keep things interesting. Now, very shortly after that, we make our way to the next queue room, where you see these interactive walls. They give you the idea that there are things we're working on here, like power, responsiveness, efficiency, and so on. And the main curve here shows off what it's like to design a car. Every car begins with a curve, they say. And then you touch it, and you're invited to move the curve by going to one of these other dots, and that shifts everything around. It kind of optimizes it for you. Now, of course, this particular one is a hidden Mickey. It's intentional because this is a fake or a pretend design experience, just to show you what's going to happen when you make your way to the actual design center. Now, you or up to 3 people in your party are allowed to then get lined up on one of these numbers here, so that when you go to the next room for the design itself, you could either do it together or individually design your own. So as you see here, this is the design center room, design center stations corresponding to your numbers, and you are given a little card. Many people have them on their wrists by this point because it comes with a rubber band, and the little card activates the RFID here that identifies who you are and now everything you're going to do with this car. So you spend your time designing by touching this interface here. And the one complaint I have about the entire experience is that after you touch the English button, you can kind of get stuck until you recognize there's a next button as well. And it doesn't say next, it's just a little arrow. So I really wish they will fix that. So as I said, you initially begin by drawing a curve around what is going to be a car, and then you're invited to touch various points around it and move it, and therefore adjust the entire curve. So the computer is really cycling through a bunch of different presets, and everything you move, every change, will change these dynamics, the power, the efficiency, and all of that. It lets you customize colors and wheels and accoutrements and add-ons and rockets and submarine conning towers, I guess. It's really kind of all over the map, and by this point I was doing what I could to make it as absurd as possible. So you collect your cards then, and you make your way to the boarding area, which looks similar to as you've always seen it, although there are now these little devices next to the actual boarding zone where you are to touch your card, your RFID card, so the computer knows who is in which car. Now, we're on the ride itself by this point at the seatbelt check, and as you can see, the car ahead of us is going up the lift hill, and everything looks very different from when you last saw Test Track. Lots of neons and glowing and multicolored, and it really kind of looks like the world of Tron in some ways, although they don't use Tron specifically. It's just an electronic digital world where it's a sim track, as they call it. Now pay attention to this little, or actually not little, but quite large blue silhouette here on the side. We're going to take another look at that. That's the World of Motion logo, and it's displayed on both sides at the top of the lift hill. This is an homage to the ride which was here when Epcot first opened. We're going to crest the top of this first lift hill, and you see there are all these little purple lights. It's kind of a star field they've put into the distance there. And it was just a really nice touch as we go around the corner and start heading down what was once the Belgian blocks. You see that we are continuing to evolve when it comes to the lighting effects, when it comes to what it looks like for the neon. They've got yellow bumpers now and yellow along the sides as well. They really don't shy away from trying different things almost every 10 yards when it comes to this attraction. This is that first straightaway that is the braking test, I guess, in the old version of Test Track. And you see they've got these glowing large pylon and screens over on the side that really gives it a new and different feel to the whole experience. And they've done as much as they can with hiding the illusion of the slot car. So there's the slot you can see in the road, but your eye is drawn instead to these bright yellow, orange, I guess, lines which don't really go anywhere. In fact, they go to the screen as though the road keeps going, and the screen, of course, changes. Now this is the run-up to the next braking or anti-lock braking test. They don't say anything about test anymore. The narration is very different. There's none of the old narration at all around. But I really like this picture because it shows off, I think, the multi-layered colors and neon that you can see when you're actually in the attraction. And so it's very overwhelming when you're on the attraction just how different and how digital the whole thing feels. Now around the corner we come, we see this model city here, which might evoke the one-time city scene in the descent of Spaceship Earth, or perhaps both Horizons and World of Motions had model cities as well. Now, just after this, we see the scores for our various cars. Now, your car is one of these displayed on the screen, the one you designed, and so it's rating you on, in this case, capability. So that's what that first test was. It wasn't anti-lock braking, it was capability. And someone's going to come in first, someone's going to come in second. If there are 6 of you each designing your own car, then there's going to be 6 different results here. So the car doesn't actually change the vehicle you're riding in. You're not customizing that. You're customizing kind of a digital Tamagotchi type of vehicle that electronically moves with you, but it's just something on the screen, and the tests you're going through show off what your designed car can do. Now, instead of the environmental tests, we move through here and go through such things as aerodynamics. You can see the digital wind kind of blowing over the car in front of us. And then from there, it's on to the what was once the lateral forces zone. Now a bunch of neon and even laser trees. They looked very cool, actually. And when you're here, pay attention just before that bump in the road, the dip in the road, the sign which says turn right to go left, which you might recognize from the movie Cars. In fact, we turn right, then we go left down this tunnel and encounter, yes, the big rig, the semi-truck vehicle that almost hits us. Although he's blacked out now, you can't see the cutout portrait of Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was once the driver of that vehicle. We go around that final corner, and as you can see, there was another test result there. And now this is the power test. And these purple lights kind of pulse and light up, and then we go right through the barrier test. It's not a barrier test anymore. This is the new photo location, so you're grinning pretty big by this point, I think, and you're on the high-speed loop, just working your way around. And this part is the same as it's always been. No changes there. Now, after you get off the ride, though, there are a bunch of changes in the post-show area. You come first to this What's Your Score screen, and lots of RFID scanners invite you to scan the car, which you still have. And it'll give you your score from your exact vehicle, 195, 197, that sort of thing, as well as show you the scores of all of the vehicles currently out there still on that test track. And it really invites competition. It makes you want to come back again and get a higher score than your friend got, who was on the same ride with you. And so I think that's very clever that they turn it into something that adds repeatability. Now the next room is where you can design a music video, again featuring your car, and this bank of monitors is joined by other banks of monitors. It's really a complete 360 degrees, quite a large circular room dedicated to letting you build your own customized experience. That's not even done yet. There's yet another post-show area right after that, with 3, I think it was, of these game vehicle areas where you can scan your card once again and now take a steering wheel and you can play a video game where you're driving sort of motocross style and racing against everyone else around the table, but now you're racing with the car that you designed. So if you had power as a highlight of your own car, you're going to be very powerful on this track. And as you can see, it again uses that projection technology that we saw previously in the queue, again on the castle. but now it's mixed in with your RFID vehicle. It's really quite impressive. But they're not done. The old showroom where the cars are still features some Chevy cars, as you can see. There's no GM in general. It's all Chevy now. And they've got different backdrops, and you can go out there with the car and the backdrops. And this bank right here is there for you to take a picture of yourself. You can take pictures of yourself with these sets and then have these pictures mailed to yourself. Email. It shows up by email. You can even customize the set in many cases. You can customize what the background is or the objects to appear in the fully green screen thing. And the whole thing is free, of course. You know, you can show up here, make this one of the things, this particular planet, I guess it looks like a planet, turns into a spaceship Earth, and that's kind of cool. One of the things you can do with this is email it to yourself, and you can do as many of these as you want. And it's really quite fascinating that they've made it this engaging for you to have your own RFID card. You don't need to do much besides scan the card, let them know your ID, your driver's license, not your driver's license, excuse me, your email address. By the time they've moved this to the full next-gen experience, they will know your driver's license number, and you won't need to provide your email address anymore because it will all be stored on the next-gen wristband. But that's still some months ahead. Now, in the shop at the end, there are a couple of new T-shirts, as you can see here. Both of them say Test Track. This one has the car design on it with Mickey driving it. There are new Test Track hats for sale, as well as a coin-operated Test Track specific photo opportunity, the photo booth. Now, I thought it interesting to point out that there are themed trash cans here, and as you can see, not only is the Test Track logo there, but as well the World of Motion logo, another homage to the former attraction in this vicinity. Now let's switch parks very quickly to the Magic Kingdom, where as you can see, New Fantasyland is now adorning the brochure. I'm also taking a picture here of the flagpole, which has moved from its central location in Town Square next to City Hall. Now that appears to be temporary. Apparently they do this every year for parade taping and for the parade when it first starts out. On our way into Fantasyland, we see that at least this portal in Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom has got kind of a orientation problem. It's sideways, as you can see, versus the way it's supposed to be oriented on the screen. Now, the far end of Fantasyland has been home to the Skyway Chalet in the past. We are looking here, there's Peter Pan on the left and a Small World on the right. These are going to be bathrooms, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Rapunzel Tower. And as you can see by the scale here, it's quite large, and so they've really kind of gone all out with this tower. I'm going to give you a couple of different views. This is taken over from the Haunted Mansion, in fact, so you can see this tower from the Haunted Mansion side. Here's another reverse angle as well. So they've really, I'll zoom in, you can see that they've really paid attention to the details on this tower, even though no one's going to get very close to it. And so I applaud their effort to do what they can to keep the theming really at a high level. Now in New Fantasyland itself, we ran into Whoopi Goldberg taping something with some extras in the background and Gaston as well. And you can see from all of the iPhones in the picture that it really draws a crowd when a celebrity is there recording something if you've never seen that in the parks. This is the back side of the Seven Dwarfs Mine Coaster, a new metal box structure going up, not too far from the meet and greet for Ariel. This is another view of that same reverse angle of Seven Dwarfs Mine Coaster. Now, also in that same area, the Ariel meet and greet, is this new billboard, which says it's coming soon in 2014. I'm not so sure how obvious this is, but a lot of these are 3D attachments onto a wall. And you can see the Seven Dwarfs name as well as Snow White's name as though they clock in, I guess, to the mine. I'm going to show you not only those, but as well the rubies, diamonds, and emerald buckets. And then I'm going to take you through some of the concept art that was stapled, or I guess attached, to that billboard. This is familiar concept art, and you've probably seen this one before as well. This one was new to me, and I don't think I've seen very often someone with a wheelchair shown in concept art. Here's another one that looked kind of new to me. It appears to show the queue, and as we walk through the queue, we're going to go into a mine and perhaps even be able to look through a magnifying glass, I guess, at the rubies lying here. So that looks to be an interesting experience. There's another one that I think I've seen this particular piece of concept art before. That one, however, was new to me as well. So perhaps we're going to be driving by at some point, Snow White dancing with the dwarfs. At least that's what the concept art seems to imply. Now we've switched over to the Haunted Mansion, and this is a shot of a touchscreen visible right after the merge point between the two queues. One goes through the cemetery, the other is more of a straight shot. Eventually that will be a fast pass queue and a non-fast pass queue. This merge technology, or the merge point, requires a touchscreen technology so the cast member can access certain pieces of data. Now we've gone back out to Main Street here. This is the Mickey's Christmas Carol, and they've always put up these windows on the Emporium. This particular window, however, is different in that although the Donald and Daisy kiss here has been there before, this background is not, because this background is actually a screen. This one is the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom portal. The other ones are just regular backdrops. Couple of views here of that construction still not announced next to the Grand Floridian. It is, of course, a DVC hotel coming. And then we close with this on our way back into Epcot. As you can see, on occasion, you will get to a turnstile where they're not having you use biometrics or touch your finger. They're simply using an iPhone app to scan the barcode on your admission media. Now, they don't do it for everyone, and they don't do it all the time. But this is done to relieve crowds, I guess, and maybe it's a little bit of a proof of concept test of what is possible. So that takes us to the end of another week. I think it's a great idea for you to go out there and ride Test Track if you're local. Plan on visiting it again if you've seen it once. It is really a phenomenal upgrade to the attraction, in my personal opinion, much better than what was there before, and maybe one of the better e-ticket rides we've got available at the Disney parks these days, and certainly one of the better ones we've seen in many years. So that takes us to the end of this week. We'll catch you next time.